The story was first reported by The Sun. We have to give them credit for that. And I've been looking into it. And my understanding is that Graham Potter will be considered for the top job at Old Trafford by the incoming Ineos executives once their takeover is complete, and only if they decide they want to part company with Graham Potter. Now, I think what you have to stress here is that this is the biggest change at Manchester United that we've seen in 2 decades or more. A change to the football operations when Ineos do finally come in under Sir Jim Ratcliffe means a brand new football structure at the football club. So Dave Brailsford, who's their director of sports, has been evaluating United for the past couple of months in readiness for the part takeover, and it will be huge change. So that's inevitably going to lead to uncertainty and to question marks about the manager's future. When you add in the very poor results that Manchester United have had on the pitch recently, you can understand where the uncertainty comes from. And those results have not been great, have they? Knocked out of Europe on Tuesday night, just 3 days after that 3-0 home defeat to Bournemouth. United have lost 7 out of their 16 Premier League games. It's not good. And there is a growing noise around the future of Erik ten Hag. But what I need to stress is none of that noise is coming from inside Manchester United right now. What I'm being told is that the existing football bosses at Old Trafford have no plans to change the manager. There's been no approach to any potential successor. Clearly, Erik ten Hag has been told that results need to improve quickly, but it's thought that the injury crisis he's dealing with has given his bosses mitigation and some understanding for those recent results. And there is some broad alignment still between Ten Hag and the football bosses at United about the long-term vision. Of course, Man United go to Anfield on Sunday, where they lost 7-0 this time last year, or rather last season. And if there was to be a similar result like that, it's going to heap more pressure on Erik ten Hag. But going back to Graham Potter, I'm told that he's very much on Jim Ratcliffe's radar. And should he decide in the future to change managers at Old Trafford once he's in post, then Graham Potter will definitely be somebody that he wants to speak to.
And what is it you think Ratcliffe likes about Potter?
They share an awful lot of similar visions. And clearly, after the abject failure of Potter's time at Chelsea, there'll be a few people who'll be surprised that he could be linked with another top job at Manchester United. But my understanding is he's still very, very highly thought of within football. A lot of people like his footballing philosophy and his approach to the game. My understanding is that Ratcliffe and his team can see beyond what happened at Chelsea. They accept that was a difficult and unique situation. And I know that Ratcliffe and his team have met with Graham Potter already, not recently, and they did consider him for a senior position in the manager's job at Nice, which is, of course, another club that Ratcliffe and his Ineos company own. And I mentioned that Sir Dave Brailsford is evaluating everything at Manchester United right now. His absolute priority is to restructure the operation, the football operations department there, which is going to focus much more on just the manager. So we shouldn't just focus too much on that. But nevertheless, when you consider that Dave Brailsford is the former head of British cycling, who brought a very sports science-based an approach to that sport and has maintained that ever since, you can see why somebody like Graham Potter would appeal to him, because Potter himself has got a master's in leadership and emotional intelligence. His data has been very, very impressive in his time at Ostersunds and at Swansea and at Brighton, not so much at Chelsea because of the circumstances there. And that data-driven sports science approach, I think, is very much in the Ineos way of doing things. So they're aligned in that regard. But, as I say, a lot of things need to happen before Graham Potter is considered directly for the job. Erik ten Hag still very much the man in position right now.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to reiterate that. No plans to change the manager. There has been no approach. But, Rob, how quickly do you think we could potentially see this move?
Well, look, nothing is going to happen quickly here. And that won't come as a surprise to any Manchester United supporter who's waited so very long for a change in the people running the football part of their club. What I can tell you is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's investment into United and that 25% stake is likely to be completed in the next few days, probably early next week. But then it's going to take up to 2 months for the deal to be ratified by the Premier League. Then Sir Dave Brailsford and his team are going to come in and evaluate the football operations as I described. But what is clear, I think, is if results on the pitch don't improve in that short to medium term, it's hard to see Erik ten Hag surviving as Manchester United's manager going forward. We still don't know a lot about Ineos and what they want to do, but there are an awful lot of stars that need to align, if you like, for Potter to be the next Manchester United. Firstly, most importantly, there isn't going to be any change in the manager until and if Ineos have taken over and are formally in position, and that could be several months away, as I've mentioned. Secondly, Ratcliffe and his team need to be sure that if they were to remove Erik ten Hag, that was the right thing to do, and they've got to spend a bit of time getting to know him as well and his plans. And finally, Potter would have to convince his new bosses at Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sir Dave Brailsford, that he was the right man with the right philosophy to go forward from here. So a lot of things still that need to happen for that man to be appointed the new Manchester United manager. But what has been made clear to me today is that Ineos understand the difficult circumstances that surrounded Potter's time at Stamford Bridge. They still very much admire his way of approaching elite sport, which is in line with the way they approach it as well. And the two men who are going to be running the football department at Old Trafford very, very soon, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sir Dave Brailsford, are big admirers of Graham Potter. They share that same view. And I've been told that if Ineos want to change the manager at Manchester United at some point in the future, Graham Potter is very much a man they would like to speak to.